The bass zonker. Start with the gamakatsu stinger hook here in size 4. Place the hook firmly in the jaws of your vise. Load a bobbin with 6/0 tan uni thread. Start your thread behind the eye and wrap back, securing the thread before you cut the tag end off. Then wrap back to the point, just above it. Take a couple more wraps up towards the 1/3 section behind the eye. Now go to some medium yellow dumbbell eyes. Where your thread lays, go ahead and place the eye directly on the hook shank. And take thread wraps across it to anchor it down. And then take them from the other side. And now start doing figure 8 wraps over one eye, under the hook shank, and over the other. And then repeat the process to really secure them down. After a couple of thread wraps of that, make sure the eyes are aligned. Then do a couple of wraps above the hook shank but below the eyes to secure those wraps. And with your thread behind the eyes. Now go to some strung marabou here in sand and select a nice fluffy piece. Strip off all the crappy pieces below the stem and find the tips of it. Measure a tail just longer than hook shank in length and extend the tips past the hook barb. Sometimes cutting the rest of the stem off helps with the tying process. Wrap back towards where your thread ends, taking the marabou with it, and really secure it down. Now go to some root beer crystal flash and cut off 2 fibers. Fold those 2 fibers around your thread, bring it up on top of the hook shank, and take 2 of each fibers to either side of the marabou and wrap them down towards the end of your thread so they extend past the marabou. Then cut them just longer than the marabou tail. Now go to some brown barred rabbit strips here in ginger and get a hold of one piece. Measure a piece of hide that's about a hook shank times 2 or to 1/2 in length and pull the fibers apart. Where you separated the fibers, exposing bare hide, pierce the bottom of the hide first onto the hook point. Take the fly out of the vise and pull the hide down the hook shank, so it is now on the other side once you insert the hook back into your vise. Position the pointed piece of the rabbit zonker past the marabou tail. Fold the fibers back again and take a couple of wraps to secure it. Make sure not to trap any of the hairs. Then take a couple wraps in front of the hide. Now go to some small copper wire and get about a 5-inch piece of it. You might be able to get 2 flies out of this piece. With one end, go ahead and tie it on the far side, and then as you wrap down, bring it to the near side. This will help secure it. Push it up against the hide too. Now go to some SLF prism dubbing here in tan and get a nice clump. This stuff is easy to take off the thread, so it's okay if you overdub, you can always take it off. But try to err on the lean side. Take that clump of dubbing, kind of stretch it out, and then make a nice long dubbing noodle on the thread. Overall, it should be about 4 inches in length. And no need to taper it. If you see some rough spots, just add a couple more pinches of dubbing. Once the dubbing noodle is created, go ahead and push the hide back and make touching wraps of the dubbing noodle up to where you reach the eyes. If you need to add some more dubbing, you can. Now pull the hide over, and again separate the fibers to where you want to make thread wraps. Take thread wraps behind the eye, securing the Zonker strip. Once secure, go ahead and cut the excess Zonker strip off. And go ahead down and press down with your thread, pushing down the hide. Now get hold of the wire and make wraps in between the fibers. Again, try not to smash any down or trap any. About 4 or 5 wraps of wire is good. Once you reach behind the eyes, go ahead and take a couple wraps of wire and then secure it with your thread. And then go ahead and push the fibers of the Zonker strip back. You can either pick some out. You can even pick them out if you trapped any, with the end of your whip finish or just a needle. Now go to some crazy legs, here in brown and orange flake. Get 2. With one of the rubber legs, fold it over your thread and bring it on the far side, tying it directly on the side, behind the eyes. And now with the other rubber leg, bring it towards the far side, again tying it on the side, behind the eyes. Now go to your prism dubbing again and make another dubbing noodle. Start making figure 8 wraps with the dubbing noodle around your eyes to cover up any exposed thread. Once covered, go ahead and make a nice cone-shaped head of thread, and then whip finish your thread off. You can add super glue here if you'd like. Now go to a dubbing brush or a piece of Velcro and stroke out all the dubbing on the underside and the head. This really helps it move in the water. After that, go ahead and take the rubber legs, pull them back, and cut them just longer than the Zonker tail. Once that's done, that's it, that's the fly.